how can you finally let go, move on, and leave the past where it belongs, in the past? That's what I'm going to show you how to do today. I'm going to give you a very concrete exercise that you can do today to leave your past behind so that it stops ruining your present and so that it can't limit your future. That's what we're going to cover in this video today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rachael Sloan. I help anxious people save their marriages by overcoming their intrusive thoughts. Please click the subscribe button. I'm going to be giving you guys lots and lots of tools to overcome anxiety, deal with intrusive thoughts, and generally move forward and create the kind of life that you want, whatever that looks like for you. And today we're going to talk about how to leave that past behind for good. Because if you drag it along with you, whether it's past trauma, a past breakup, or just the beliefs about who you are and defining yourself based on your past, not only are you going to be miserable a lot of the time in the present, but you're really going to limit what's possible for you in the future. So in order for this exercise to be effective, I'm going to give you an exercise you can do to release all of that past pain now. But for it to be effective, you need to understand why you're holding so tightly to your past. There are two reasons that it's really hard to let go and it's really hard to move on. The first reason is that your past defines who you are now. So let me explain that. If you suffered from trauma as a child, your past, the way you think of yourself, is as a victim of that trauma. That understanding of yourself as a victim has become part of your identity. Likewise, if someone you love left you, died, broke up with you, divorced you, you might have this story that somehow you were not enough. This could be a parent getting divorced and leaving. This could be a lover leaving you, or even a life partner leaving you. You get this belief, I'm not good enough, I wasn't attractive enough, I wasn't smart enough, for whatever reason I was not enough for this person and that's why they left me. And that not being enough has become part of your identity. It's part of who you are and how you define yourself. And you might be like, yeah, Rachael, I don't want to define myself as a victim or as someone who's not good enough or not strong enough or not pretty enough. I don't want to define myself that way. Why would that help me hold on to the past? And this is where it's important to understand how brains work. Yes, those are painful things to believe about yourself. They are uncomfortable ways to define yourself, but they're familiar. These are thought patterns. These are beliefs that you have held for a long time. You have practiced them for a long time. They hurt, they cause you suffering and pain, but they are familiar. And your brain, especially that primitive emotional limbic system, the part we like to call the lizard brain that's responsible for initiating and modulating the intensity of emotions, that part of your brain really, really likes to be safe above everything else. And for that part of the brain, safety is really black and white. It's like life and death. So you have to remember this limbic system, this lizard brain, evolved to protect you back when threats were a lot more tangible than most of the threats in your life are now. When being left by someone, when being left alone, meant that you would literally starve or freeze to death. When there could be a lion around the corner outside the cave ready to kill you, that part of your brain wants to stay in the cave. It's damp in there, it's cold, it's not really very nice, but you're alive. There's no lions in that cave. And sure, Garden of Eden might be right out the entrance, right? A short walk away, but you could die trying to get there. That is how the limbic system is thinking. That's how your lizard brain is operating. So even though these stories, the way the past defines you, it defines you in a way that you don't like, that causes anxiety or suffering or insecurity, but it's familiar. That anxiety of not being enough, that fear of I'm going to end up alone, that feeling of I'm a victim, that helplessness, it sucks, it's awful, but you're not dead. That is literally how black and white this part of your brain is. If you let go of that story, if you let go of that past, everything's unknown. Everything is possible, right? This is how you get to that Garden of Eden. This is how you achieve the life you want, but it is terrifying to that part of your brain because it's unknown, it's uncertain. It would rather have crappy and certain than unknown. So that's one reason it's so hard to let go of your past. That part of your brain is clinging to the familiar, even if the familiar sucks. The second reason is that your past can define your future. What I mean by that is if you're trying to let go of a relationship, let go of someone you loved, or even let go of an old dream. Maybe it's a business that didn't work, a career you don't want anymore. You're trying to let go of this past, but if you do, what does that mean for you? If you move on from that career, does that mean that you failed? Does it mean that you wasted that time? If you move on from that person you loved and were with, does that mean that you wasted all of those years, that you wasted all of that energy? This can also keep us holding on to our stories about the past. It's hard to let go of someone. It's hard to let go of a career because of what we make that mean about ourselves now and going forward. I'm a failure. I've wasted my life. I've wasted all of this time, right? Those are uncomfortable stories. We don't want them. So it's motivation to hold on to that past love, to stay in that career, to keep going at that business that isn't working and doesn't drive your passions, right? So the past, these are the two reasons it's hard to let go of the past. One is because it defines who you are, and letting go of that is terrifying to your lizard brain. And two, because if you let go of that past, you might be making it mean something about who you are and who you can be in the future. But this is all an illusion. None of this is real. These stories that the past defines you are just that. They're just stories. The past is not here now, except in your mind. That is the only place it lives. The stories in your mind that you tell yourself over and over and over again, that is the only place the past exists. It is not here. You are here and now. None of that exists. Only this moment. So let's just imagine for a moment, what if you could define yourself every moment? What if there were no restrictions on how you define yourself? What if the past didn't exist? Because it doesn't exist, right? The past doesn't exist. So all of those rules about how you have to define yourself and about who you are, who you were, who you can be, what if none of that is true? What if that only is stuff you've made up in your own mind? Because that is the reality. The reality is you can choose who to be right now in this moment, and again right now in this moment. And you can choose anything. Really, you can choose anything. The past is only in here. And I do hear from people this objection. They're like, yeah, but I might define myself however I want, but other people are going to define me based on my past. And if I just suddenly show up in a totally different way, they're not going to buy it. They're not going to know. They're not going to accept that. I just want to tell you guys that nobody else is thinking about who you are. Nobody else is defining you. We spend so much time and waste so much energy worrying about what other people are going to think of the things that we say and do. They aren't. All of those other people out there, they are worrying about them. They're worrying about what they say and do. They are in their own brains using their own past to define themselves and fighting with that the same way you are. It's such a natural assumption to assume that everyone is thinking about you because you are always thinking about you, right? That's true. Your brain is so focused on creating your reality and trying to understand that reality and change that reality and control that reality. And it just seems so obvious that it's all here, right? That's how you're experiencing it. That's how everyone else is experiencing it too, except it's about them. So don't worry about other people holding you back or judging you as you go to make these changes in defining who you are, because they're too busy. They're busy caught up in their own stuff. They don't have time. They don't care about yours. This is all you. The power is all yours, and it's all your power here. So let's jump in, and I'm going to guide you through an exercise that is going to help you embody this empowerment and let go of all the ways that you're using the past to define who you are now and who you can be in the future. When you're ready, I would recommend getting a pen and paper. It's always better to write things down because brains are very good at sneaking around. But if you write it down, you will always get a more honest answer from within yourself. So get a pen and paper, find a comfortable place to sit, and let's do this exercise. So I want you to take a really deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Just take a moment to bring your attention inward. We're going to have a little conversation with yourself. I want you to set the intention of putting your past aside for now, just for a moment. You're going to set your past aside, knowing that you can pick it back up at any time. This is just a little thought experiment. It's nothing permanent. It's nothing threatening. Start with that intention. I intend to set my past aside just for a moment to explore what is possible, knowing that I can always pick my past back up at any moment. That freedom is there. And then I want you to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and feel the past falling away as though it fades into the fog, into oblivion. And for just a moment, just now, there's only you. There's only here. The future fades into the fog as well. And for a moment, you are left with any possibility. There is no past. There is no future. Be here now and let it all go, knowing that you can pick it up at any time. This is just a safe experiment. From that place, from that moment of being here and now, with no past, with no future, let's build a vision of who you want to be now. If anything were possible for you, if any thought were available to you, if any feeling could be created in your body, take a moment and imagine, what would I think if any thought were available to me? And write it down. How would I feel right here now, with no past, with no future? What feeling do I want to create? Where do I feel that feeling in my body? How does it move through me? What thoughts are connected to that feeling? And for a moment, just give yourself permission, just for fun, just as an experiment, to experience fully any state you want. It might be pure joy, it might be peace, it might be wealth or success. There's no past, there's no future. In this moment now, if anything were possible for you, what do you want to experience? And create a real vision for yourself. Once you've identified that feeling, let it move through your whole body. And in your mind's eye, what do you see? What visuals go along with that feeling? What thoughts come through your mind? What do you see as you look around you? What do you feel in your head, in your neck, in your stomach, in your chest, in your feet? What do you hear? Flesh that state out as fully as you can. Give it detail. Feel it in every pore and every part of your body. Allow whatever fantastical, beautiful, incredible state you've chosen to permeate through your whole being, to feel in every cell of your body. And holding that state there, observing your mind, notice when you are this person, when you embody this state of being. How do you think? Write down any thoughts that come through your mind while you're holding this space, while you're in this space of infinite possibility, of infinite sensation and hope and joy and success, whatever it is to you. Write down everything that crosses your mind. And then as you're ready, slowly bring your awareness back to the here and now that's external. You've been enjoying the here and now that's internal. Come back to here and now, out here. Touch something solid. Take a look around. My favorite thing to do when you come out of a state like this is to shake it off. Get loose. Come back into your body in the external world. What you have just done is show yourself the power of your own thoughts. You have just accessed an emotional state, a state of being that you created. It didn't come from outside of you. It didn't come from anything that happened. It came from the power of your thinking in that moment when you let go of the past and the future and decided who you want to be, how you want to be, right here, right now. If you take a look at the thoughts that you wrote down, you're going to see how that kind of person thinks. If you chose in that moment to be wildly successful, the thoughts that you wrote down are the thoughts that you have when you're wildly successful. If you chose to be at peace, the thoughts you wrote down are the thoughts that you have when you are at peace. They are already yours. They already belong to you now. All you have to do is choose them. Use this exercise to help you create a visual, create an intention for your present and into your future. The past is something you can release at any time because it only exists in your mind. It only exists as long as you keep creating it by thinking the thoughts, by telling the story to yourself. Choose to tell a different story. Choose to tell the story that you told yourself when you were experiencing wild success, when you were experiencing pure joy, when you were experiencing love and connection. Whatever state you created for yourself, that is yours. You create it with your own mind, and you can access it and step into it at will by changing the way you think. Think the thoughts that come with that feeling, and you will start to create that feeling in your life. Think the thoughts, the old stories about your past, and you will keep creating, keep reliving the past over and over. The emotional experiences, the pain and suffering of your past will be your present if those are the thoughts you think, if those are the stories you tell yourself. But your brain is beautiful and powerful, and you have the ability to let go and choose a new future. Remember in the beginning, I said how part of the reason it's hard to let go of the past and move on is because your brain is afraid to step out of its comfort zone and into something that is new and scary. What you do with this exercise is you give your brain, you take the uncertainty away. You show it. Yes, we're leaving the past. We're leaving the state behind. And we're not going out into the scary unknown hoping to find something better. No, we are creating this. We are creating wild success. We are creating unadulterated joy. We are creating pure pleasure, right? You have already experienced that state. You've already thought those thoughts. You've seen those images. You've felt it in your body. It's no longer an unknown. So this part of your brain doesn't have to be afraid anymore because you are not leaving the certainty, the uncomfortable certainty of the cave for some unknown emotional future. You are leaving this uncomfortable cave for a known future, one that you have already created, already experienced, and can continue to build for yourself. Now you know where you're going. You don't have to wander out and be afraid there's lions because you are creating this powerful state within yourself that has no lions. And from those thoughts, from the feelings that you have in that state, you will naturally act in ways that create the life you want. Your thoughts create your feelings, and from those feelings flow all of your actions. So when you do this work, when you cultivate intentionally the state of being you want now, letting go of the past, when you cultivate that state now, the actions will flow naturally and you'll start to create the results you want. Because I hope this video was helpful. I would love to hear about the ideal state that you are practicing achieving in the here and now. And please don't forget to click subscribe and click on the bell to turn on notifications. I'll be putting out several videos each week that are all going to be full of really helpful tools. Okay guys, thank you very much and I will see you soon.